These are all the lies you've been told about Korea. As someone who's lived in Korea for 4 years, I feel like the Korea I see on TikTok and the Korea I see in real life are two totally different things. And a lot of these facts about Korea that content creators are feeding to you are just clickbaity overgeneralizations. So I made a list of some things that I am so tired of hearing on this app. Starting off with Korea is perfectly safe. While yeah, it's true, you can leave your phone, your wallet, your purse on a table somewhere out in public and no one will take it. That doesn't mean that crime doesn't happen here. I see so many dangerous stories on TikTok of foreigners doing crazy things that they would never do in their home country, like sleeping in random men's houses, following strangers to a secondary location where they get recruited into cults. The list goes on and on and on. It's important to remember that while yes, it's a relatively safe country, bad things can still happen to you and we all need to stay aware. Number 2 is that everyone here dresses fashionably all the time. Like this idea that you can't go out in the streets of Korea without having a fit is so weird to me. Of course, if you're going out to trendy, popular places, people are going to be dressed nicely. But this idea that everyone in Korea is super fashionable and cares about fashion is just wrong. And I swear, if you're on the streets for more than 5 minutes in Korea, you'll see more Crocs and slides than you've ever seen in your life. Especially if you're just chilling in residential areas, going to the convenience store, going to the pochas. People dress very casually, and not even in cool streetwear ways. Number 3 is this idea that Koreans have never seen foreigners before. Disclaimer, Korean people stare. If you're a foreigner, they will stare at you. But people seem to have this misconception that they're staring because they've never seen a foreigner before and it's just so fascinating to them. If you're in Seoul, I guarantee you that that's not the case. Every person, young and old in Korea, has seen foreigners before, whether on TV, in real life. It's not that isolated of a country. Sure, some people might stare and they might be curious about where you're from or what you're doing here, but they're not staring because you're some magical unicorn. And no, they don't think you're a celebrity. Next is that it's easy to meet idols and celebrities randomly on the street. While yes, Seoul is kind of a big, small town and you will see celebrities because they live and work there, I've lived in Korea for years and been to Seoul countless times and I've never bumped into a celebrity. So especially when I see videos of tourists who say they've been here for a week and they've seen a celebrity every single day, it's a little sus. And I'm not saying that everyone who bumps into a celebrity randomly is a sasaeng, but if you're meeting celebrities in Korea on a daily basis and you're not working with them, it leads me to believe that you're hanging around their work, hanging around their known hangouts. That's just the vibe I get. Do with that what you will. And last, that the fruit in Korea is insanely expensive. Now, is it expensive? Yes. Especially as an American, the fruit here is a lot more expensive than what I'm used to. However, when you see stuff like a box of 4 apples for $80, that fruit is meant to be given as gifts and they usually come from premium department stores. And if you go to local marts and markets, you can find cheaper seasonal fruit. Koreans are not buying the fruit they eat on a daily basis at places like Lotte Mart and Shinsegae. As you can see, this list goes on, and let me know what lies are you tired of hearing about Korea.
Korea is actually the most unhinged country I've ever stepped foot in, because why did I just have to call the police and the fire brigade at 1 a.m. to save an old lady because she was locked inside the bank? I wish I was joking. I left the PC방 at like 12:30 and I started walking home. I literally live 10 minutes walk away. I'm walking home and I hear like banging next to me and I turn around. I'm just like in the street and there's an old lady locked inside the bank, just like smashing her hands into the window, like screaming, begging for help. There's other people on the street. Not a single person has stopped to help her. Immediately, I run over with my beginner level Korean and I'm just like asking her, like, are you okay? I'm trying to open the door. I run around the back of the building and come in the back entrance. The door is locked. Like, there's no emergency button. There's no like alarm button. I cannot get this door open to help this lady. She's obviously very distressed. I asked her how long she's been in there and she says 30 minutes. It's been 30 minutes and not a single person has stopped to help this old lady who is literally screaming and crying and begging for help. This is literally like the best summary of Korea, because honestly, you can fall in the street and break your leg and no one will ask you if you're okay. But anyway, I called the police. The guy did not speak English, and even when I told him that I don't speak Korean well, he didn't like transfer me to an English speaker. So I do know like basic Korean. So I managed to give him the address, tell him what was going on, and then they texted me a link that would like track my phone. So I'm stood there like showing this lady they're gonna be here in 7 minutes. Like it shows me where the fire truck is. And I'm showing her and she's just like screaming and crying and like begging. She was so scared. I felt so bad for her. She must have been like at least like 60 years old. And then eventually the police came, the fire engine came. I managed to get some guys in the street to like wait with me and try and help because like I couldn't calm her down because my Korean wasn't good enough. So they like were talking to her. The police tracked my phone. I like flagged them down on the street. And then she eventually got out and she was like cursing at everyone. She was so angry. The people from like the security company came. And she was like trying to fight the man from the security company because obviously it was their like lock and alarm that wasn't working properly. It wasn't that man's fault, but she was just so upset that she was like swinging for him and the police were holding her back. And she was like cursing and like yelling at everyone. And then she would turn to me and like point to me and she was just like, 감사합니다. Like, because I was the only person who came to help her. I felt so bad. But I was just like, I cannot imagine the stress that this old lady is going through. It's midnight, you're locked in the bank for 30 minutes, and the only person who comes to help is a basic ass white girl who barely speaks Korean, drinking a fucking banana milk in the street. Like that's your only choice of people who are gonna come save you. Anyway, she's okay now.
A lot of people ask me about my experience in Korea as a black person, and I want to get one thing straight. When I was in Korea, I did not experience racism from Koreans. I actually experienced racism from white Americans that I was with at study abroad, not the Korean people. Like, obviously, I was getting stared at. You know, people asked for pictures. You know, some people touched my hair. So that did happen, but it was nothing like me being insulted because I was black, right? So, but white Americans that I was with did make me feel uncomfortable. Even if it was casual racism, I still felt the most ignorance from white people, fellow Americans, not the Korean people, which surprised me. So I just want to say, as a black person, don't let that, scare you. Don't let racism or the fear of any of that scare you away from going to Korea, because frankly, you can't escape white people's ignorance no matter where you go.
Okay guys, let me tell you a funny story time that happened in Korea. So if you watch K-dramas and you're into the whole Korean world, you will know that Aegyo is really famous in Korea. Aegyo is like when the woman acts very like cute and she does. So basically in Korea, oh my god, that country, guys, they love to walk. I don't know what is wrong with Korea, but they love to walk. So everything in Korea is built on hills. So you'll be walking and walking and walking and walking. Like, even the steps, like in the metro in Korea, they have like 350 calories, 400 calories. It's even telling you how many calories you're burning because there's so many hills. So then I'm walking up the metro as usual. All I hear behind me on my left is 오빠, 여보, 자기야. I'm thinking, who the hell is moaning like that? And the person is like, it sounds like moaning to us, obviously Western people, we wouldn't understand. But if you understand Korean, you would understand Loki what she's trying to say in it. I'm thinking, this has to be a 11-year-old child that is talking like this. So I turn around, guys. I'm thinking it's 11-year-old child. This is a whole grown-ass 40-year-old woman behaving like this. Guys, I know hearing in K-dramas, we're used to it now. But hearing that in 4K, live, oh guys, wallahi, I've never cringed so much in my life. And it's like, I know it's in their culture and they enjoy it, but I just think stuff like that is so cringe. And the thing is, another thing about Korea that this Korean guy told me, wallahi, I actually died of laughter. The child rate in Korea is like the lowest child rate. So basically, no one in Korea really has kids like that, which is really bad because they're going to become extinct. So I was like, when I was explaining the story time to him, he was dying laughter. But he was like, oh, Aegyo is like really famous in Korea, and we actually enjoy when women act like cutesy. But he said the reason why they act like that is because no one in Korea has kids, so the women start acting like babies now. And oh my god, well, I dad, I hope no one finds this video offensive, by the way. But guys, imagine hearing that in 4K. I'm so sorry, but sis, what are you doing? And I understand that you didn't want to walk, babes, because what I 100% understand you. The hoes in Korea be making you lose weight. Guys, I used to walk 10 to 15,000 steps a day. So I understand, sis. And eventually the man did end up picking her. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, he put her all on his back and he was walking up the stairs. I was like, kudos to you, babe, but Aegyo is really cringe.
So this is a bit random, but I used to live in Korea and I used to date a Korean man. One day I realized that his mum didn't have any arm hair or leg hair. And she was kind of old. She was like in her 70s. So I was like, did your mum shave her arms and her legs at her age? Like, that's crazy. And he said, no, she's naturally hairless on her body. I was like, what? And then he said, my sisters are the same. And I was like, what? Like, his sisters are like 28 and maybe 33 or something. They showed me their skin is like unbelievably smooth and soft and no hair, and they don't shave. He said that that's relatively common among Koreans. I don't know if this is true or not. I've never actually confirmed this with any of my Korean friends. Is that a thing? Like, do certain cultures, ethnicities have like naturally no body hair? Like, that's insane. Some of y'all living out there not having to shave a single day in your life, are you kidding me? Let me know if this is true. I would love to know.
Controversial things about Korean culture that just make sense to me. This might be a really unpopular opinion, but I think that holding doors for everyone, especially strangers, just kind of slows everything down a bit. Number 2, small talk with cashiers and service workers. I am very introverted, so being in Korea is like a dream for me because I don't have to talk to the cashiers. I can just go to the store or go to the convenience store, get what I need, and get out. But I think a lot of people come to Korea and think that the service workers are rude, but I don't think they're being rude. I think they're just doing their job. Obviously, everyone can have their own opinions about everything, but I think living in Korea is really nice as an introvert. Like, being in America genuinely stresses me out because I'm so stressed that I'm gonna have to talk to somebody every single time I leave the house. And I don't know if it's just me, but I low-key feel like everything is like so much more inefficient because there's so much small talk everywhere. I don't know. Like, it shouldn't take me 45 minutes to buy an Apple Watch that I already know exactly what I want just because the lady is yapping to me about random stuff that I honestly don't care about. Maybe it's just because I got so accustomed to how efficient Korea is and how fast-paced everything is. For me, I really like those aspects of Korean culture, even though they might be controversial. What do you guys think? Stay safe out there, bestie.
Toxic girls in Korea, part 1. Oh my god, there's so many toxic people in the world, but especially in Korea, I've seen a pattern over my past, 10-something years here. Number 1, the first type of people are the people that cannot take a compliment. It's like, nice shirt. Oh, no, it's not nice. It's not nice. It's not nice. Oh, just say yes and thank you. Number 2, people that are just like fishing for compliments. Like, they'll be like, even if they know that they're pretty, like they know it, but they're like, oh, I'm so ugly. Maybe it's because of this. Maybe I should go get plastic surgery or something. And then, like, you know, their like minions will be like, oh my god, no, why are you saying that? You're so pretty. Like, isn't she so pretty? Like, you know what you're doing. Number 3, the ones that cannot live without a boy. Whatever happened to chicks before dicks, girl? My boyfriend did this. My boyfriend did this. My boyfriend did that.
You want to know why everyone says living in South Korea is super stressful? So I've been living in Korea for 4 years, and I know that people might have stress due to different reasons. But I think the number 1 reason of their stress as a society is the fact that they're a high context culture. So in a high context culture, you're not expected to express yourself very directly, whether it would be in the workplace or with friends. And a lot of times you're just expected to express your feelings by hinting at them. Let's say you're doing a project with your coworkers and you don't like what they're doing with it, you don't like their ideas, you don't directly say it, you can't directly say it. Sometimes even when you want someone to do something, you can't directly say it, it's rude. Sometimes even in situations where everybody thinks the same thing, still, no one says it out loud. Koreans, obviously knowing this, they tend to overanalyze what people say and get stressed because of it. And also when they want to express something themselves, they also get stressed about how to formulate that without being rude. They care so much about what others think of them. And I think they simply have to do that to survive in that society. So if you really pay attention, you can see that Koreans complain about Korea being super stressful more than the foreigners living there, because they understand that we come from a different culture, and in my experience, they tend to tolerate when we say stupid shit. I realized that I was unintentionally being kind of rude in my first year in Korea, hehe. And no one said shit about it. Especially if you come from the West, this is kind of hard to understand. But basically, this is why I think living in Korea is so stressful.
South Korea has a really huge problem with hidden cameras. Now, if you go into any single female bathroom, you'll find every single crevice in that bathroom plugged up with wet toilet paper. Women do this in South Korea to stop the possibility of a small hidden camera being able to film them, which in a lot of cases is usually broadcasted online for men to watch. This issue extends beyond toilets as well, so we're talking Airbnbs, hotel rooms, basically anywhere that is a private area. You run the risk of being exposed to hidden cameras. As a foreigner, what can you do? Well, I really recommend buying a hidden camera detector. You can find them on Amazon or other websites, and they help you detect hidden cameras. You find the light in the room and it'll show you, and then you can either report it or you can take it away. These hidden cameras are getting so ridiculously well disguised. You can find them hidden in fire alarm systems, clocks, alarm clocks. This can happen anywhere in the world. It's not just South Korea, but South Korea does have a very big problem with hidden cameras.
I actually hate Korea. A few questionable things people told me in Korea. Oh my god, girl, you look so Tyler. I was just at a club. I made some friends, and that one girl was like, you look so Tyler. Oh my god. What do you mean I look Tyler? You're so skinny and your outfit. Thank you, I guess, but I don't think I look like Tyler. Wait, this one is my favorite. You're from Germany? Oh, Baustelle. Another phrase I heard a lot was whenever I didn't know that I was approaching a celebrity and I was talking to them and asking them for their names, they were like, my name is ... but you can call me ... And then I was like, why should I? Oh, you're a celebrity, okay. And that one did actually really kill me. You know what? I actually hate Korea. Like, I was talking to one of my favorite artists, and he was like, you know, I don't really like Korea. I want to get out of here as soon as possible. Actually, many people from Korea told me that. Usual thing that you say about your own hometown.
People here in Korea are typically kind to me. They're accepting, you know, nice. But the other day something happened and I don't know what I did wrong. So basically I wanted to buy a new ring. So my boyfriend, who's Korean, and we went to a jeweler and had a look at the rings there. And it was a small shop with an ajashi working there, an older guy. Now my boyfriend and we went directly to the old style vintage rings because that's what I like. And the ajashi talked to us. He talked to my boyfriend in Korean and said that this is old style, that this is for ajumas. And I said in Korean, oh, no, it's fine. I like this kind of style. And he just completely ignored me. And then he went on about, no, this is ajuma style. And then I kept saying, no, it's okay. I like ajuma style. I like vintage rings. They're so pretty. And he again just ignored me. And then he tried to have a conversation with my boyfriend, but my boyfriend was not the customer. So I again said something along the lines of, no, it's okay. I like ajuma rings. I want to buy an ajuma ring. And yeah, he completely ignored me. He didn't reply to what I said. He didn't listen to me. He didn't even look at me, you know, acknowledging me in any way, which I found really, I don't know, mean. It kind of hurt me because I was the customer and I was speaking Korean, and I sure do have an accent, but it's not like what I said wasn't not understandable. Like right now I didn't stutter like this, and it really hurt me because I was trying to be polite, you know, I was trying to be kind, and I don't know what else I could have done. So we quickly left that shop, and it still hurt me a bit, but yeah, normally people are kind. So that was the only bad experience I had in the past 4 months, which is a good number, I'd say.
Booty boy.
giving birth in South Korea as an American and how my low-risk pregnancy went from natural to C-section. So fun fact, in South Korea, like their C-section rate is really high. Like last year it was like 67% of births were all C-section. And since I planned to do a natural birth, I chose a birthing center that specializes in natural birth and is English speaking. But the place actually ended up being my same gynecologist I was already seeing already. So they are actually a more expensive option than just a typical standard Korean hospital. So we paid more than we probably should have. But actually really enjoyed my experience, and in the end it was all worth it for me. Since the birth rate in Korea is so low, the Korean government actually gives like a lot of incentives and money for people to have babies. So in Korea, there's like a lot of doctor visits. So I would visit the doctor like once a month. So I had at least like 10 doctor visits, and they all had ultrasounds. And so all those doctor visits were covered by the Korean government. So at 36 weeks, I found out that I was indeed breech. Homeboy was booty down. So typically like within Korean culture, like people are often pressured by the doctor to make certain decisions. So you really, really have to advocate for yourself. The beautiful thing about my doctor, like even my husband who's Korean, he was like impressed, like, whoa, like these doctors are like so different from typical Korean doctors. Like they gave me no pressure. Like, so they actually were comfortable doing natural birth even though the baby was breech. Like typically doctors like don't really necessarily want to do natural births when the baby's just breech, but my doctor, he was like, yeah, it's possible, we can still do it. If you want to do the C-section or if you want to do natural birth, it's all up to you. They gave me 2 weeks to decide, and I decided to do a scheduled C-section. One day I did have like some contractions, and I was like, this ain't for me. Like if this is level 0, I am not ready for the full thing. Another thing is my due date was actually the day before we moved out of our apartment. So like the anxiety of like moving and then like, is the baby going to come? Like I just wanted it to be scheduled, so we scheduled him. Okay, so about the C-section itself, like I never had major surgery before, and like having a C-section, I did not necessarily know exactly what it was all about. Well, first of all, I couldn't eat for 8 hours, so my appointment was at 8 a.m. so I couldn't eat 8 hours before, and I couldn't eat after having the surgery, so I couldn't eat until the next morning, and then they just gave me like broth. So we get there preparing for the C-section. They put something in the IV, and immediately I threw up. I did have an epidural, immediately went numb. Since you can't get up to use the restroom, they put some tube in me to do that. So y'all, I'm on the surgery table. They put something else in IV, and again, I was about to throw up. Right after they did that, my husband walked in, and I was just like, yes, let's do this. And so it actually isn't that common to allow husbands into the room as you're having a C-section, but luckily my birthday center, they allowed it, and so that was important for me. Also allowed me to play music, and they also took pictures and videos for me throughout the whole surgery. Homeboy was out in about 10 minutes. They immediately placed him on my chest for skin to skin. My husband was able to cut the umbilical cord, and as they're stitching me up, my husband went back to the room and did skin to skin with baby boy. So our birthing center actually has no nursery, so the baby stayed in the room with us the entire time, but also the nurse was on call to assist with whatever we needed. Nurses were there to walk my husband through like how to change the diaper, how to burp the diaper, birth the baby, how to bathe the baby, like all the steps. Like he was the one that kind of after was like teaching me like, oh, this is how you do it. Immediately after the surgery, they had my baby start latching, and they kept waking me up to make sure that he latched so he can get into like breastfeeding. Because I told them I wanted to breastfeed. They made sure I was able to breastfeed by the time I left the birthing center. There was one time right after the surgery, the nurse came in, she like pressed hard on my stomach, y'all, and like she did not warn me, so I immediately squeezed her arm, so she was hurting me and I was hurting her, and I was like, this is fair, right? So like by noon the next day, I was able to walk around by myself. The food there was so good. They gave us 3 meals a day and like snacks in between, and all the food was so good, minus the broth they had me eat for my first 2 meals, but after that, like the food was fire. Like I said, they do speak English, but they were communicating a lot with my husband. Like my husband speaks English, but they were still communicating with him in Korean, which was actually a good thing because I made him even more involved. So it made sure that he was listening and knew all the information so that he could tell me. Ended up saying 3 nights. By day 4, we're leaving the birthing center and the tatas were leaking. The milk was flowing, and I was like, thank God, because I was really nervous because I would like hear people's stories about breastfeeding. And the next day, the lactation consultant came to my house, and she was like, girl, you don't even need me. Like, you good. Y'all keep doing what you do. So y'all, that was so reassuring. And I'm like, yes, my body is doing exactly what it needs to feed my baby, even though it's a lot of work and I miss being able to sleep, but yes. Anyway, super grateful for the entire experience that I had. Definitely recommend where I went to have my baby, which is called Home in Gangnam in Seoul. So that's my birth story. Yeah.
I moved to Korea when I was 18, right? And I used to live above a Starbucks. And this particular morning, I came down, I got a drink from Starbucks, and as I came out of Starbucks, it was raining, so the steps were wet, and I fell down the steps. I slipped on my butt, and I fell all the way down on my back and I landed on the street. And I was so humiliated. I remember I just laid on the street for a good 2 minutes just contemplating my life. And during that time while I was laying down, honestly, some part of me expected somebody to stop and help me, right? Not a single person even looked at me. Everybody just kept walking, going on their way. This was in Busan. And a part of me, I don't know, I thought that Busan people were at least kinder than Seoul people. I thought maybe somebody might ask me if I was okay, but nobody did. Everyone kept walking, nobody cared. And that actually in itself hurt more than what it did falling down the stairs. So later I went to my boyfriend. I was like, no one even stopped. No one even helped me. What the heck is this? He's like, Jazz, come on. This is Korea. At the time, I guess I interpreted it as Korean people being cold. But the reality is that, and this is what my boyfriend said, Korean people don't want to embarrass other people. They want to stop. They don't want to give you attention. They don't want to make you feel embarrassed. And I guess if you're a foreigner, it's more embarrassing as well. After living there for a while, you realize it actually is in a way out of kindness. They don't want to embarrass you. It's an odd cultural difference. I guess in Australia, for me, in Australia we kind of have the mateship kind of culture. I know for a fact somebody would have stopped and helped me if I was in Australia. But, everywhere is in Australia. And I got used to that pretty quickly. Still love Korea though.
Guys, if you don't want to accidentally eat pork in Korea, you've got to tell them you're allergic, because I don't eat pork, doesn't cut it anymore. And I'm sure we've all heard this, but it actually still shocks me, and it's happened to me before. Anyway, I went to get some tuna kimbap nearby, and I asked her, is there pork in this? 여기 돼지고기 없죠? And she goes, no, don't worry. And I said, are you sure? And she said, no, girl. She was acting like I was doing too much. I was like, bet. So I got my food. I'm starving, mind you. So I go home after a long day of work. I sit down, I unwrap it. What's this pink thing? Guys, I was so hungry. I started Googling, are there any pink looking vegetables or stuff that they eat that isn't pork? I was that hungry. I couldn't believe that she put pork in there. Spoiler alert, obviously it was pork. Anyway, luckily it's nearby. So I go back and I'm like to her, ma'am, what is this pink stuff? And she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I was like, I'm allergic. Guys, the shock on her face. Because now it's giving lawsuit, Guys, I must have scared her so much that I went there the next week. I didn't even mutter a word. And she goes to me, no pork, right? I was like, yep, I know that's right. Anyway, I'm allergic is the way to go. You guys have to act like this stuff is going to kill you. No pork on my fork.
This is how to avoid getting SA'd in Korea so it doesn't happen to you. I've seen a lot of comments saying wow, I wanted to visit Korea, now I'm not going to. First of all, don't let this deter you from visiting Korea, because Korea is still a beautiful country with so much to offer. But unfortunately, these things do happen here. So it's important to acknowledge that so you can take the precautions to protect yourself. You gotta keep your guard up. Every time that I have been SA'd, or most people I know have been SA'd, there was alcohol involved. Clubbing, especially places like Hongdae. Y'all wonder why I say I hate Hongdae. This is why. A lot of Korean guys will go to places like this with the intention of hooking up with foreigners. And unfortunately, a lot of them don't care how they are able to do that. The culture here is different. It's not like Western culture. It's a lot more conservative than Western culture. So if they see a girl clubbing, they immediately think she's down or easily accessible. Also online, dating apps, or even language exchange apps. Koreans don't typically use dating apps for serious relationships. So 9 out of 10 times when they're on there, they're there to hook up. And many of them will lie to you about their intentions just to get you to hook up with them. And of course, there will always be exceptions to these cases, but 9 out of 10 times there won't be. Where and how you meet someone really does dictate how they will perceive you. If you're out with someone on a date, I always say don't drink with them on the first date. And if you do, definitely do not get drunk. Watch your drink at all times and keep your distance. I recommend going out in a group of friends and not separating from them. Sharing your locations with your friends at all times. And if you go out on a date with a guy, unless he is taking you somewhere during the daytime, I would be highly skeptical of his intentions. If he wants to drink with you right away, red flag. If he touches you at all, red flag. Actually, in Korea, in dating scenarios between Koreans, it's really rare for them to touch or even hug on a first date. So if a guy does that right away with you, it kind of already shows that he doesn't have a lot of respect for you, because I guarantee he wouldn't be doing that to a Korean girl. Korean culture is not like Western culture. Also, let's continue the conversation around this, because the only thing we can do is continue publicizing that this shit does happen here. Share your experiences if you're comfortable. I am always here to offer you support, and I know my followers are too. As foreign women in Korea, we are all on the same team. There's no competition. We're all here without our families, so we have to look out for each other. And if you have been through this too, I am sending you all of my love.